Welcome back to Aaron channel. In the last video we made the bolt itself, and in this video we are going to be adding the thread to it. So to create the thread, we are actually going to be using the swipe pause space feature. And these features are made of two elements, a path and a profile. The profile is swiped along a path, and that gives it its name. So in our case, the profile will actually be the thread profile itself, or the tooth of the thread. And then the path will be the helix, which wraps around the outside of the shaft and moves upwards. The first thing that we need to do is create the path itself, and we are going to use a helix to do this. So first we need to start a new sketch, and that will be on this face, which is actually the underside of the bowl. So click on that face and start a new sketch, either by pressing the sketch button which pops up, or by pressing sketch on the sketch tab on the command manager. So now we are sketching on this blue face, and we want to create a circle which is the same diameter as the outer diameter of this bolt shaft. To do this, we could just draw a circle from scratch, but an easier way to do it is use the Convert Entities tool. So select one of the circular edges. It could be the top or the bottom. It doesn't really matter which because they are both exactly the same size. So hover over the circular edge until it's orange, and then click on it and it should turn blue. And then we can press Convert Entities, and this button can be found on the Sketch tab. Once we press the button, you should see that our selection actually turns black. So what this tool has done is converted the edge that we selected into a new sketch entity in our sketch. So now we have a circular sketch which is exactly the same size as that edge we selected. That circle entity is all that we need within the sketch, so we can then exit the sketch by clicking on the button on the top right. Next, we are gonna use this sketch to create helix, which will make up the path for the sweep. To do this, select the sketch in the feature tree, then go to the features tab on the command manager, go all the way over the curves, and then press this little arrow just underneath where it says curves. And this should give us a drop down. And from this drop down, we want to choose helix and spiral. When we do this, we should get a yellow preview, something like this. And this shows us one single rotation of our helix. Yours might be slightly different if your settings are slightly different, but it should look similar. So let's make sure that we've got the same settings. So on the left at the top, we should have pitch and revolution. Then you should have a constant pitch set. Then underneath that, you should have the pitch set as 9mm. And this is the length of one complete revolutions of your helix, or it's the length that your helix travels in 360 degrees of rotation. And then you should have the revolutions as 1, and the start angle as maybe 2 to 5 degrees. But that's not too important at this stage, so let's leave the pitch at 9mm, but increase the number of revolutions to 4.5 by just typing in 4.5 in the box on the left. And now we should see we've got 4.5 turns of the helix going up the bolt shaft. And then finally, we can just set the start angle as 0 degrees. And this just means exactly what it says. The helix itself starts from 0. And if you change that number, you can see that the start point rotates around. Then press OK. And now we should have our helix feature in the model. And you can see on the feature tree on the left that the helix feature has actually consumed that circular sketch. So this helix is going to be the path that we sweep the thread profile along to make the thread itself. So next we need to draw the thread profile which will be swept along the helix path. And so we need to start a sketch at the start of the helix. So this needs to be on the plane that cuts through the start point of our helix. For me, this is the right plane. It should be the same for you. They may be the front plane depending exactly how we oriented our polygon. Start sketch on the right plane by left clicking on it and pressing sketch from the button that pops up. Then again, we want a normal to view. So from the view orientation menu, press the normal to button. And if we've lost that menu, just press the spacebar and it should pop up again. We need to draw the thread profile at the start of the helix. So first select the line tool. And then draw a profile something like this. Hover over the start of the helix until we got this yellow coincidence symbol. And then left click and draw a line vertically down. And then left click to end the line segment. Then draw another line up to the left. Left click again. Draw another vertical line upwards. Left click again. And then go back to the start point of the original vertical line. And when we left click here, it should end drawing the lines because we've completed use our closed profile. Then next we want to add a center line to make this thread profile symmetrical. So continuing on with the line tool. We need to draw a line from the midpoint of this left-hand vertical line over to the midpoint of the right-hand vertical line. You might need to zoom in a little bit with your mouse scroll wheel. Then hover over the vertical line on the left. Around the middle of it, you should get this yellow midpoint symbol. left-click to start the line at that point, and then move over to the other vertical line. And again, pick up the midpoint symbol, and they probably won't be exactly lined up. And when we get it, left-click again, and that should end the line segment, and then we can press the escape key to exit the line tool. Now we can select the middle line that we just drew, and the first thing we're gonna do is make it for construction. So in the property manager on the left, put a check in the for construction box, and this just makes it center this line is ignored by features. Then we also want to add a horizontal relation to this line. So to do this, click in the area above that says Add Relations, and just click Horizontal Line. And this should now make it so that both sides of our sketch are symmetrical. We can see if we drag around on one side of the construction line, it also changes by the same amount on the other side. Then we need to add some dimensions to fully define the sketch. So select the Smart Dimensions from the Sketch tab. And first, let's make this inner height 5 mm. Then let's set this inner angle as 60 degrees. And then let's set this outer height of the thread as 1 mm. So now our sketch should be fully defined. But if we look at our sketch, and if it's still blue in color, and it still says underdefined at the bottom, and that's because it's not actually fixed in space. The top right hand corner of the thread profile should actually be fixed to the start of the helix. So to add the correct relations, what we can do is just select this top right hand corner, hold down the left mouse button, and just drag it along so that it's above the start of the helix. And as you do, you should see these two icons. So you've got the yellow coincident icon, and then we've also got this white icon as well. Then just release your sketch in that position, and it should now be fully defined. So all of the lines should be black, and at the bottom it should say fully defined. So now we can exit this sketch. Now we have put off the two elements that we need for our sweep. So we have a thread profile sketch itself that we just drew, and we also have the path, which is the helix feature that we made earlier. And we can use this to create the swept boss base, which will be the basic thread. To do this, make sure we haven't got anything selected in the feature tree. And then go to the Features tab and press on Swept Boss Base. Now, I should say that we've got two selection options, and we should automatically be in the top one, which is the profile selection. Now we need to do is select our profile sketch. So hover over the profile sketch somewhere down at the bottom, and just left click. Our selection should automatically go to the next box, which is for the path. So now we can click on the helix feature itself. And then you should get a yellow preview, which looks something like our thread. Press OK, and the first thread feature will be created. And if you have a look at it, you can see maybe it looks slightly different in size or shape to a thread that you're used to. But the principle is exactly the same, and we are going to go over some more of the details in the following videos. Now all that we really need to do in this video is rename the thread feature. So go over to the sweep feature in the feature tree, do a slow double click on it, and then just rename this as something like thread. And this is also a good stage to save our part. So to recap what we've just covered, I'll delete the whole thread feature, and then I'll just quickly edit again, so we can see it one more time. So I'll delete the sweep feature itself, and I'll delete the helix and the sketches behind it. Firstly, we needed to add a path, and we did this by adding a helix. A helix starts from a circle. So first we start a sketch on this underside face of the bolt head. And then it used to convert entities to make this bolt shaft into a circle. Then we exit this sketch. And then we use curves, which is on the feature tab. And we used helix and spiral to add a helix. And the helix size is defined by the pitch and the number of revolutions. So there we have our path, the first part of the sweep. Next, we need to draw the profile. And this was just a simple sketch on the plane at the start of the helix. We drew the thread profile just using straight lines. And then we made sure it was symmetrical. And we also made sure that it was linked to the start of the helix. And if you have any problems getting your sweep to work properly, it might be that the profile sketch isn't quite touching the path itself. Then to make the thread itself, we exited that sketch. And and then we made a swap pause space feature using the helix and the profile sketch. So that is essentially the basics of how to make a thread. In the next video, we'll be adding a few more finishing touches and little details. Then after that, we'll be going on the female part, which is the nut that screws onto the bolt. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you like. I hope it can be a little helpful and useful.